Chapter 12 Review. This is on estimating each square root to the nearest whole number. I'm going to let you go ahead and if you'd hit pause and let the students go ahead and solve these three problems, and then we'll check our answers. So go ahead and hit pause. Alright, so what I want you to do for this particular problem, you have the estimation part. So the best thing for you to do is to simply take the square root of each of these numbers, and the square root of 29 would be 5.385. And so what we need to be doing is looking at just the tenths and determining whether this particular square root of 29 is closer to 5 or to a whole number 6. Okay, and since this is 0.3, obviously 5.5 being the middle, since it's less than that, then it is going to be closer to a 5. So my answer to this is 5. For letter B, taking the square root of 78 would be 8.83. And again, it's determining whether it's between 8 or the whole number 9. And since it is 8 tenths, being larger than half, meaning 0.5 or 5 or larger actually, it is closer to the 9, so 9 is my answer. For 455, the square root of that is 21.33. So again, whether it's between 21 or 22, and since it's 0.3, it is less than halfway, which would be that 21.5. Therefore, it is closer to 21, so that is my answer. Okay. Again, if you have any other questions on that, you can hit pause and see if the guest teacher can explain that further. But I think we have a pretty good grasp on all of this. Next problem is again says finding the missing measure of the right triangle. So this is using the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So using that formula, I'm going to let you go ahead and hit pause and solve this. Alright, so plugging it into our formula, a squared is what is missing, so we're going to leave it a squared, plus b squared is the other leg, okay, which is going to be the other leg that's attached to that 90-degree angle, so that's 17 squared, equals c squared, which is 20 squared. So now we're going to get a squared plus, well, 17 squared is 289. And square of 20 would be 400. And to now solve this algebraically, we're going to need to get a by itself. So it's going to subtract 289 from both sides. And then we get a squared equals, it would be 111. So 400 again minus 289, which is our 111. Now, to be able to get rid of the square, because we can't leave it a squared, we need to take the square root of both sides, and we then get a by itself, and the square root of 111, and we're going to round to the nearest tenths, is 10.5. And it is centimeters because we're just plugging it into the value of a. Okay. The biggest thing that a lot of you forget about is solving this algebraically and subtracting the 289 from both sides. So be very, very careful with that. Okay. Next question is again finding the value. It's giving you a and it's giving you b. You're trying to find what c equals. So go ahead and again, using Pythagorean theorem, solve this. Go ahead and hit pause. All right, so now we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So a is 2 squared plus the b, which is 4 3/10 squared, equals c squared. So 2 squared is 4 plus 4 3/10 squared is 18.49. Do not round your answer until the very end. Okay, do not round any of these numbers. So now we're going to be able to combine like terms since they're both on the same side of the equal sign. So we're going to add 4 to 18.49, which is going to be 22 49/100ths, which equals c squared. Now we need to get rid of that square, so we're going to take the square root of both sides, and the square root of 22 49/100ths equals 4.7 is the value of c. And again, that is meters, since it is meters listed up here. Okay? Again, the key to this is knowing that you have to combine those same terms, the like terms, the numbers on the problem before that. Again, we had a number on one side with a variable. We've got to get numbers on one side, variables on the other. Okay, and if they're already there, then we just combine them to keep them that way. Go ahead and solve this. This is finding surface area of this cylinder. And again, using that formula, which is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r times the height. So go ahead and hit pause and solve this. So let's plug this in. We're going to have 2 times 3.14 times my radius, which they gave me the diameter, so I've got to find the radius from here to here, which is half of that. So it is 6, and we're squaring it, plus 2 times 3.14 times the radius, which you said is 6, and the height you said is 5. So let's plug those in. 2 times 3.14 times 36, which is going to give me 226.08. Please do not round that until the very end once again. And we have 2 times 3.14 times 6 times 5, and we get 188.4. Now we can add that to my 226 8/10 or hundredths, excuse me, and I get a grand total of 414.48, which then rounds to the tenths, 414.5, and it is what kind of yards? Square yards, because it is surface area, not volume. Okay, so let's try the next one. This one's a little more difficult. It's going to take a little different approach to get this answer. So go ahead and hit pause and solve this. For this one, you got to work backwards on. So we're going to first use our formula, which is 2 times the length times width, plus 2 times the length times the height, plus 2 times the width times the height. And since we already know that this answer is going to equal 216 square feet, okay, because that's our surface area, what is the length of just one side? Well, again, this is a cube. So what's similar in a cube? They all have the same length. So again, let's work backwards. So if we take this and we realize that since they all have the same, this is the area of the top and the bottom, left, or the this would be your top and bottom. This would be your left side, right side. This would be your front and back. Then since all three of them are going to have the same area, let's go ahead and divide 216 divided by 3. That's going to give me 72. So we know that the answers to each one of these will be 72. Okay? So now it's saying, all right, I know that every one of these I'm going to have to multiply. So really I can just look at one of these. I'm going to have to, it's going to be the same number, length times the width. That's the same number you're going to use for each one of those. So let's divide this, do the opposite, the inverse, to unravel all of this. Okay, so divide this by 2, and you're going to get 36. Okay, so we've got to make sure that the length times width is going to equal the answer of 36. So what's the square root of 36? 6, because 6 times 6 will equal my 36. Okay, and 36 times 2 is 72, and that's the same thing that's going to happen for each one of these, and when we add them all together, it gets 216. So my answer to this for the length of one side is 6 feet. Okay, that's a tough one, and it is. So take a look at that. That really helps understand, do you really understand how to use this formula? Okay, let's look at the next one. It says rectangular prism, length of 40, width of 22, height of 12. So go ahead and hit pause and find the surface area. Now what we want to do is, first of all, again, they're already labeled, so we're going to make sure that we are paying attention to that. Length is 40, width, okay, this is going to be my width, is 22, and my height is 12. So using that formula, 2 times the length times width, plus 2 times the length times height, plus 2 times the width times height, we can plug it in. So 2 times my length is 40, my width is 22. Add that to 2 times length of 40 and my height of 12, plus 2 times my width, which is 22, times my height, which is, again, not 40. Height is 12. Okay, so now we can multiply all those together, and you're going to get 80 times 22, which is 1760, and then 80 times 12, which is 960, and 44 times 12 is going to give me 528. And when we add these all together, you're going to get a grand total of 3,248. Okay, and again, what are we trying to find? Surface area, so it is going to be square inches. Okay, let's look at the next one. Again, finding surface area of a cylinder. We're using, go ahead and hit pause, and then you can solve this. I'll let you do that, so go ahead and do so. So you have 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. And again, using the formula, 2 times 3.14, the radius they gave us was 7, so it's squared, plus 2 times 3.14 times the radius, you say, is 7, times the height, which is 19. And it's just a matter of plugging that in. So when you add those, you get 307.72 plus, or when you multiply them, 835.24, and when you add those together, you get 1,042.96, and you're going to want to round that to the tenths, which that's going to round that up to 1143, and it is going to then be centimeters squared. Have a great day.